big show. In the Power Hour, Hour 3, we will have Joe Kent. We very much look forward to talking to him. I'll be interviewing him. Got a lot of questions for him. Now, most of you don't even know who he is, other than he resigned in a huff. He issued a letter. But most of you don't know a lot about him. You're working men and women. You don't have time to focus on him or people that promote him and so forth. So we'll get to learn a little bit about him. Joe Kent, I'd like to go through some of this with you and give you an opportunity to respond. We got Semaphore, we got Axios, we got the New York Post, we got on and on and on, saying that you were considered a leaker. We have the White House saying it. Were you a leaker? Are you under investigation? Do you know whether you're under investigation? Let's try and clear the air right at the beginning.
Sure, Mark. Thanks for having me on. I never leaked any classified information. And the stories you're reading are stories from leakers who are leaking, I guess, maybe an investigation about me being a leaker. So I think it's just a media counter-narrative. I had
so nobody has contacted you from Justice or the FBI or anything like that?
Nope.
Did you ever leak? Confidential?
No,
let me do it this way. Did you ever leak classified information? You said no. Did you ever leak confidential information?
Nope.
Never.
Never.
Were you cut out? Okay, you're on the record. That's perfectly fine. And that's a good thing, Joe. Were you cut out of briefings for the last 3 months or so when you were there?
No, I wouldn't say I was cut out. I mean, the president can choose to have whoever he wants to have in the actual presidential Oval intelligence sessions. I still had access to the PDB and was part of,
Tell everybody what that is.
That were appropriate for my job. The President's Daily Brief.
So you had access to that right up to the end?
Yeah, until the day I walked out the door.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think the president said he never really remembers you that well, he never really met with you that often? Is that correct?
Well, the president meets with so many different people. I mean, he knew who I was, but by no means was I a primary advisor to him on a daily basis. However, in terms of determining the threat level that Iran posed to our country, I was a key part of that process. So that was very much in my purview.
And he rejected your view?
I don't think he rejected the view. I think he may have chosen to go a different direction, and I think the vast majority of intelligence and information that he received was given to him to paint a picture that Iran was on the cusp of developing a nuclear weapon, which just simply was not the truth. And also, as Secretary Rubio said, there was no imminent threat coming from Iran against the Americans.
Well, you know, he corrected that.
There was an imminent threat coming from the Israelis who were going to attack. But that's actually the truth.
Okay, hold on. We're going to do it. We're going to do it honestly, one point at a time.
Had observed, the Iranians had observed an escalation ladder. They hadn't attacked us under President Trump.
Can you do me a favor? And I don't mean to be rude. Can you talk a little more slowly? I'm having trouble hearing. Take your time. Go ahead.
Sure. When President Trump came into office, the Iranians knew that President Trump wanted to get a deal. They observed the escalatory ladder very carefully. They stopped having our proxies attack us like they were attacking us under the Biden administration. And they got to the negotiating table with us about the nuclear agenda. When the 12-day war kicked off and the Israelis started that, the Iranians still didn't attack us.
All right. We have to take a break. I'm going to circle back on some of your comments here, and then I have some other questions. I appreciate you being here. We'll be right back with Joe Kent. Back with Joe Kent. We'll try and get through a number of issues as we can. I want to read you something, Joe, for you to respond to here. When one of President Trump's closest advisors, who's vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated and we're not allowed to ask any questions about it, it's a data point, you told Carlson, about the murder of our friend Charlie Kirk. It's a data point that we need to look into. What are you trying to look into there? What do you think happened there?
What I know is that there were foreign leads that we didn't get a chance to look into, that we did not thoroughly investigate. That's what I know.
Do you have any country in mind?
No, I think we need to fully investigate the potential of any foreign nexus.
So you think a foreign country may have been involved in his assassination. Does the FBI think that?
What I think is that we need to thoroughly investigate all the potentials. That's what needs to happen.
I know, but what I'm trying to find out, you're a smart guy. You're an accomplished guy. Is there something that piqued your interest that caused you to say, maybe there's something foreign and we need to look into this? I mean...
There is. I just can't get into it because it's classified and it's part of an ongoing investigation, I hope. But from my vantage point and from what I saw at the National Counterterrorism Center, that was not thoroughly looked into.
I'm not trying to be rude. Just slow down. I'm a little hard of hearing. Go ahead. What was that? I didn't hear you.
What I said was there were still potential foreign links and leads that we needed to look into. That's what I know. That's what I'm asserting.
So you're not asserting any particular country there?
No, I'm not.
How about Butler? Do you think any foreign government was involved in the attempt to assassinate the president there?
We need to thoroughly investigate that, especially now that Thomas's crook's online persona has been uncovered. That needs to be looked into as well.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's Iran, maybe?
We should investigate to see if there's any linkage between Iran, but in particular in between the Iranian agent Asif Merchant, who was just convicted for plotting an assassination attempt against President Trump. That should be looked into to see if those two events are linked. That should definitely be looked into. And I think you'd agree on that, wouldn't you?
100%. And because we know Iran did try to assassinate the president. One guy was just convicted of it, and the other guy's in Iran. So that's...
He was.
But I was just wondering this statement here, because a lot of Jewish groups and others said you were really focusing on Israel, and you're telling me, no, not at all. It could be any foreign country, correct?
In my statement, my letter of resignation, I say that the Israelis forced President Trump into this war.
No, I'm talking about this that you said on Carlson's show, when a president close to his advisors who's vocally advocating for us not to go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated. We're not allowed to ask questions about that. It's a data point. What's the data point?
The data point is that the investigation, in my view, especially the foreign ties, has not been complete. And that.
Well, why did you bring up the Israelis there? Are you talking about, what are you talking about there? Botswana? I mean, what are you thinking about when you say that? I'm just curious. Just asking questions.
That Charlie was advocating for us not to go to war with Iran and to rethink our relationship with the Israelis, and then he was killed. This needs to be looked into. That's all I can say.
That's all you can say. Rich, can you play what Charlie said after the president ordered the dropping of the bombs on in June on those sites in Iran? Go ahead.
And you might say, Charlie, do you support or oppose this? I support President Trump. That's my answer. I know the man. He's the commander-in-chief. He's the man for the hour, and he's had the weight of the world on his shoulders. So in a situation like this, I support my friend, and he's had my back and I have his. That's my perspective. By the way, I also look at this and I say, and I understand the arguments of people that, don't intervene and all that. I get it. But boy, have we not exhausted so many diplomatic channels and options.
What do you think of that?
I didn't resign after Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was a targeted operation that did not result in a further continuation of the war.
I'm not talking about why you resigned. I'm talking about, hold on. I'm talking about that was Charlie's comment about the president ordering the bombing of those nuclear sites in Iran. Right?
Right.
And you were talking about,
I heard that
Charlie being assassinated. Right?
Right. He was against the regime change war that's taking place right now.
Okay, hold on. I'm not talking about
Midnight Hammer and the bombing was two completely different things. Targeted operations are completely different.
You were talking about the assassination.
As we've seen with the ramifications.
One of President's closest advisors, who's vocally advocating for us not to go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated. President Trump wasn't talking about hitting Iran again in September. We're talking about June.
We knew that after Midnight Hammer, it was evident that the Israelis still wanted regime change in Iran, and they were going to continue to push.
How did the Israelis get all this power over President Trump? He says to you, that's not right. Radcliffe says, that's not right. Hegseth says, that's not right. So I don't know what the vice president said to you, but why do you keep insisting on it when they keep insisting it's not true?
Because in real time over the course of the last year, we watched the Israelis through their official engagements with members of our government and the media echo chamber, which I believe you were a part of, move President Trump's red line from saying that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon to saying Iran can't have any enrichment, because President Trump and the former supreme leader of Iran agreed that Iran was not going to get a nuclear weapon. They were going to get
and you believed them.
Table.
You believed them.
I believe that 18 members of the intelligence community.
Well, apparently it wasn't 18 because the CIA director said you're wrong.
Well, the coordinated assessment that the CIA sent to the ODNI said that they were not working towards getting a nuclear bomb because the supreme leader had a prohibition on the development of nuclear weapons.
So you believed his fatwa. I mean, this is kind of foolish. So they put out a fatwa. The guy just lied about the distance. Hold on. The guy lied about the distance of their ballistic missiles in February. His foreign minister did.
Then why didn't Iran have a nuclear weapon? They've been trying. If they've been trying,
then why didn't Iran have what?
2004. Why didn't they have a nuclear weapon? If Iran wanted,
why do you think they didn't have a nuclear weapon? Because we and the Israelis and perhaps other countries stopped them with cyber warfare and other things. I'm not even understanding your argument. Let's try it this way. Let's go back to basics.
No, we had no intelligence that said that Iran was working to develop a nuclear weapon. That information came from the Israelis, and then
it came from Witkoff, who directly said we were negotiating with the Iranians. That they told us.
Right.
Hold on. I need the public to understand this.
There's no.
All right, you go first, then I'll go.
President Trump said no nuclear weapons, and then through official engagements through the Israelis, and then also the media echo chamber that wanted regime change in Iran, said no. We need to say that the Iranians can't.
What about the media echo chamber, your buddies who didn't want regime change in Iran? There's a lot of echo chambers out there, wouldn't you say?
It appears that your media echo chamber was much more successful.
No, it wasn't. I never lobbied the president. Hey, pay attention to me. I never lobbied the president. You guys keep putting that crap out there. I met with the president once at his request, and I said to the president, ready for this, Joe? I said, they're saying out there that I'm lobbying you. You know what he did? He laughed. You know what he said? Mark, I know where you stand. I watch your show on Saturday and Sunday. Anything I say here, pay attention. Anything I say here is what I would say. I did what?
You can lobby him by using the power of your show, the power of your
platform. Come on, brother. You're sounding almost ridiculous now. Now, let's go on. I have a question. There's been a big controversy now. Andrew COVID now. Media has covered it. Other people have covered it. He put out a video. He gave you text messages confidentially. Hold on, man. Let me just get the question out. You can dispute it.
Text messages to anybody.
But I have to explain it to the public. If you wait.
Hold
on. So they got. What is it? Why don't you want to answer this? You won't even let me set up the question. He said that he gave you text messages from Charlie Kirk, all this discussion about the Israelis and donors and so forth, that you called him and you said, make it public. He said, no, I'm not comfortable doing that. And then the next thing he knows, Candace Owens has it, and she makes it public, and she's off to the races, just like you and Tucker and the rest. Did that happen or not? Did you give it to Candace Owens, yes or no?
I did not give anything to Candace Owens, no.
Well, this is good to know. So you've never leaked. You didn't give anything to Candace Owens. I have a much higher regard for you now. That's the truth. I don't care for what you've done. When you put that letter out You knew it would do maximum damage to the president, didn't you? The timing, for instance, if you were going to resign because you didn't agree with this war, why didn't you resign when the war started?
Because I was hoping that we would immediately de-escalate and try and get back to the negotiating table.
We would start a war and de-escalate in 3 days?
I was hoping that we were
Where's
going
that
to do
ever
limited
happen?
strikes, and then limited strikes like we did in Midnight Hammer, and then back off and go back to the negotiating table. Once I realized that was not going to happen, and we were spiraling deeper into this, and we were starting to lose brave men and women in yet another Middle Eastern war driven by the Israeli agenda, that's what led me to resign.
You got a real hate on. You got a real hate on, brother. No, you do. Hold on, Joe. When I had you on my show, I read your texts. I read them out loud. And you've done a 180. Why is that? Because you had access to intelligence or something? Why have you changed completely?
I have not done a 180. I have no problem with us working with Israel. I have a problem with Israel driving our foreign policy in the Middle East as they have done to get us into this war.
Do you have no respect for Donald Trump's agency, that he has the capacity to make these decisions himself?
I have the utmost respect for the president. You can read my letter.
You didn't answer my question. You don't sound like it.
I believe that he was influenced by the media echo chamber and by the Israelis.
Well, maybe he's influenced by your media echo chamber. Or maybe he's influenced by the Saudis and the Qatar. Who knows? He made a decision. Can't you accept the fact that he's a great president, that he took in all this information, he listened to all his advisors, and he made a decision? You may disagree with it, but why do you create a conspiratorial notion that Israel, 9.5 million people, a tiny economy and everything, dragged powerful Donald Trump, the United States, into war? Not one. You even had them dragging us into the Iraq war when on the record they said they didn't want to do the Iraq war. They opposed us doing it. Where'd you come up with that one?
In this administration, I watched the Israeli media.
You were there 7 months.
Of the Israeli government. I watched that. I came in day one, and I worked as the DNI's chief of staff until I was confirmed. So
by the way, does Tulsi Gabbard agree with you?
You'd have to ask her. But what I did see is I saw the Israeli media echo chamber, and I'm not going to speak for Tulsi Gabbard. What I'm telling you is the red line.
You're speaking for the president. You said he was convinced by Israel.
No, I'm speaking for Joe Kent. That's why I resigned, so I could speak freely. I watched the.
By the way, that's very interesting.
No nukes to enrichment.
Go ahead.
What we watched, the red line moved from no nukes to no enrichment. That basically short-circuited the ability for there to be a deal, leading us basically to a military conflict that was driven by Israel.
What does that mean? Slow down, Joe. What does that mean? No nukes to nuclear enrichment. What does that mean?
That's a great question. So President Trump has always said, and I think most people agree, that Iran can't get a nuclear bomb. Now, the former Supreme Leader agreed, and he had that fatwa in place. So that gave the Iranians
the fatwa meant crap.
To get to the negotiating
That's
table.
Where you and I disagree. A guy has a fatwa in place. Slaughters 50,000 of his own people. It's not. Hey, Joe, he's a terrorist.
Mark, I believe the 18 intelligence agencies that said that Iran was not developing a nuclear weapon.
But guess what? The president agrees with his own conclusions. That is, that you're wrong.
Okay, well, let's go back to
Mr. Radcliffe believes you are wrong. The Secretary of Defense believes you're wrong. The Secretary of State believes you're wrong. And I can go right down the list.
Well, actually,
by the way, name the 18 intelligence agencies that agree with you, Joe. I don't even know what they are.
We don't have that much time, Mark. It's the intelligence community of the United States. Most people can look those up. There was unanimous agreement by the IC that Iran was not developing a nuclear weapon.
All right, I got to take a break. We'll come back. I'm going to let you finish, Joe. I'm going to let you finish. Hold your thought. I got to take a break. It's the nature of radio and TV and all the rest of it. So stick with me.
Mark Levin'e.
The president said he decided to take these steps because the Iranians weren't negotiating in good faith. His envoys come back to him and say, they just told us they have all this nuclear material, and that they're not going to give it up, and they're not going to give it to a third party, and a number of other things, and you say it was Israel. Explain.
The Israelis launched the attack, and we knew that the Iranians would counterattack. That is the only imminent attack was actually the Israelis launching the attack. So that's what got us into this.
That's been denied, Joe.
We were in.
Hold on, Joe. The president of the United States said
that's okay.
He dragged the Israelis in.
Right. Initially, the Secretary of State, the Speaker of the House, Secretary of Defense, they all said that we had to attack because the Israelis were going to attack.
So they're all lying
my
now.
vantage point, that's what I saw as well.
They're all lying now, Joe?
What I saw was the Israelis driving us because they wanted the regime change war. They wanted to force our hand to make the Iranians to attack Iran, to make the Iranians counterattack us, so that we would be in the conflict.
I think you're extremely conspiratorial. I think that you're ignoring what all the other senior officials and the president have said. I really do. And I hope when you tell me you haven't leaked, because all these people in the White House say you have, that you're telling me the truth. I have no reason to disbelieve you. I hope when you tell me that you didn't leak those texts to Candace Owens, I hope you're telling me the truth. I hope when you're telling me 18 intelligence agencies all came together and said that the Iranians are not close to getting nukes, I hope you're telling me the truth. And also,
public testimony in Congress.
Yeah, well, we have public testimony in Congress from one of them, the CIA director, that says you're full of baloney.
The ODNI, who's responsible for representing the 18 intelligence community,
but he's the CIA. He's the big dog.
We're not.
And I asked you what Gabbert's attitude, and you said I have to interview her.
An agency contributed to the assessment.
Okay.
You asked me about her.
Who makes the final decision, Joe? Takes in all the information that the agencies put together. Who does that? You or the president?
The president does, but in this case, the Israelis decided to.
Did the intelligence agencies miss 9/11, or was that the Israelis too? Did the intelligence agencies miss Pearl Harbor, or was that the Israelis too? I'm really worried about you, brother. I really am. When you were first on my show, you seemed pretty straightforward and sane about this stuff.
I am pretty straightforward, and I don't think a foreign government should be allowed to dictate when we go to war. Or what
I don't think they did. I think the president
right now,
makes
the Israelis have
Joe,
different goals.
You're going to keep mentioning Israelis. It's getting very boring and silly. The president made the decision. The president said he made the decision. The top brass. Do you think General Kane is a good general?
Yeah, he is a good general.
Do you think he's doing this because the Israelis want him to do it? How about CENTCOM General Cooper? Is he doing it? Is he in service? Is he in service to the Israelis too?
Neither of them are responsible for taking us off the war. The important thing is what took us off the war.
But they didn't resign in a public letter like you did either. Hey, Joe, I want to thank you for coming on. I really do. Wish you the best of luck. Well, folks, it's over. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. I don't know what we learned, but have a wonderful night.